Monaco, where legends are made, where precision is survival, and in 2025, it was his turning point. The lap, flawless, the margins, micro, but the look in his eyes, that was new. He crossed the line, P1. It wasn't just the pole position, it was poise. Lando Norris wasn't chasing greatness anymore. He'd found it. Many believed he wasn't meant to be here, not because he lacked talent. He was always fast, but because he didn't fit the mold. He was considered too emotional, too soft-spoken, too Gen Z. And in a sport that worships stoicism and dominance, he joked through interviews, cried after races, and wore his heart on his sleeve. And for that, he was doubted, mocked, booed. Even after his maiden win in 2024, many still whispered, not championship material. But that win, it was the start of something bigger. Something shifted after that first win. Quietly, but unmistakably. He started to cut out the noise, stopped drinking, paid less attention to social media, and focused deeper than ever before. He didn't reinvent himself. He refined himself. Because when you win once, they call it luck. But when you win again in Singapore, in Monaco, in Silverstone, in Austria, Hungary, Melbourne, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, they start to call it something else. Deserved. Each victory wasn't a result, it was a response to the boos in Monza, to every comment that said he wasn't ready. This was by far a perfect season. There were mistakes, crashes, bad strategy calls.
I should have just followed him in there. All their flexibility for the remainder of the race.
Missed chances.
Lando, are you okay?
Yeah, all good.
And moments he should have won, but didn't. And despite the doubts and the spirals, he still adapted. Because consistency isn't about showing up when things are easy. It's about showing up when they're not. When the pressure builds, when doubt creeps in, and when nothing goes to plan. And that's what Lando did. Not flawlessly, but relentlessly. F1 doesn't just test your pace, it tests your psychology. And when the noise got loud, Lando felt it. He read the comments, he spiraled, he overthought, but instead of running from it, he faced it. He didn't stop being Lando, he just stopped letting the world rewrite him. This is what psychologists call mental toughness. It's the ability to stay grounded in storms, to regulate emotion under pressure, and to bounce back without breaking. It didn't harden him, but it gave him clarity. And that transformation is what led to victory.
A wise man gets more from his enemies than a fool from his friends.
Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri, two very different forces. One, a juggernaut. The other, a shadow with teeth. Max breaks you by dominating. Oscar tests you by mirroring your every strength. To survive them both, Lando had to become something else. Not louder, not angrier, but stronger. And beyond them, a whole grid. All fast, all hungry, and all fighting for the same crown. But here's the twist. He didn't let the rivalry fracture the team. He let it forge him. Even after becoming champion, Lando spoke about Oscar with respect, admiration, and in an age where team rivalries have imploded under pressure, McLaren have stood tall. Formula One doesn't wait. You either win or you walk. It's a sport defined by pressure, precision, and performance. And when the results don't come, most teams move on. We've seen it before. Talented drivers dropped after one bad season. Potential discarded before it had time to mature. But McLaren did something rare. They waited. They didn't just sign Lando Norris, they believed in him. Not for one season or two, but for 7 years. Even when no wins came, they still held on to the promise. With patience, and belief goes both ways. Lando could have left. He had options. He was fast and other teams had the machinery. But he stayed. He trusted them. Because they trusted him. They didn't just watch each other grow, they grew together. From rebuilding the car, to reshaping the culture, to redefining what McLaren stood for. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a co-creation, a slow, shared journey towards something greater. And now in 2025, with both titles in hand, drivers and constructors, it's clear this was never just Lando's win, it was theirs. We've often seen in F1 fathers shape their sons, sometimes into champions, sometimes into cautionary tales. But Lando's parents, they stayed present, but never pushy, supportive, but never controlling. They didn't shout from the garage, they watched in the background. They didn't build him into a champion, they built him into someone who could become one. So why does he matter? Why this champion, and why now? Because Lando doesn't just feel like one of us. He is one of us. He's the kid who felt too much in a world that asked him to feel nothing, who cracked jokes to numb the pain, who let the comments cut even when he said he didn't, and who wanted to win but didn't want to lose himself along the way. And when the world told him, "You're too emotional, too soft and too human," he stayed anyway, and he won anyways.
Thank you guys. Oh my god. You made a kid's dream true. Thank you so much.
Childhood dreams are different. They're untouched by fear, unburdened by expectations. They exist before the world teaches you what's realistic, before you're told to tone it down, before you're told to grow up, before you're told that wanting something this badly is naive. Most of us let those dreams go, not because we stop wanting them, but because the world convinces us we're foolish for trying. Lando didn't, and that's why his win feels personal, because it's not just about a championship, it's about proving that part of you that dreamed first, the pure, emotional, hopeful part, was never wrong. When we saw him lift that trophy, we didn't just see a driver. We saw proof that being emotional doesn't disqualify you, that feeling deeply isn't a weakness, that you don't have to become harder, colder, or smaller to succeed. His win is a mirror, and if he can make that child's dream real without abandoning who he is, maybe ours was never impossible either. Maybe they're just waiting for us to dig deep enough to believe in them again. F1 has long been a fortress of old school masculinity. Dominance, detachment. Lando has helped to change that. He didn't mask his emotion, he let it breathe. He cried, he hugged, he spoke about the doubt, and he still won. Sociologists call this emergent masculinity, a shift towards vulnerability, collaboration, and emotional honesty in men. Lando doesn't reject strength, he redefines it. And for the generations watching, that changes everything. This isn't just a story about winning a title. It's a story about what kind of person wins and what that says about us. Because if a boy who laughed too much, cried too openly, and cared too much can become world champion, then maybe we don't have to trade our humanity for greatness. Maybe we just have to trust that being ourselves is enough. Because the tides are turning, and if they can turn here in the most elite, emotionally brutal sport on earth, they can turn anywhere. He wasn't the champion we expected, but he was the one we needed.